Hello and welcome, everyone. Assalamu alaikum and good evening. সবাইকে স্বাগতম জানাচ্ছি আজকের এই বিশেষ পর্বে আপনাদের সাথে আমি আছি আপনাদের হোস্ট কোচ কামরুল হাসান. Hope all of you are having great time. So let us know how you are. Let us welcome all of you, and we want to give you a couple of minutes to jump into with us tonight in this live session. So looking forward, আমাদের আজকে থেকে নতুন একটা সেগমেন্ট, নতুন পর্ব যেখানে আমরা কথা বলবো আসলে এন্টারপ্রেনিউরশিপ নিয়ে, একটা ব্যবসা কিভাবে শুরু করতে হয়, আইডিয়া থেকে ইমপ্লিমেন্টেশন, এবং এটার ভিতরে হোয়াট আর দি স্কিলস বেসিক্যালি আমাদের সবার জানা থাকা দরকার. আমরা আপনাদেরকে ধাপে ধাপে নিয়ে যাব ফ্রম আইডিয়া to implementation into this course, এবং end of we are going to give you a structured program যেখানে আপনি আপনার business আইডিয়াটাকে টেস্ট করতে পারবেন. If you don't have business idea, even we will help you to create your ideas. And যাদের business idea আছে অথবা business শুরু করেছেন, how you can actually solidify the business, magnify the business, attract the new customers, enhance your revenue, enhance your presence digitally as well, creating a digital platform and also the digital part of the business. That's the new normal things. So আমরা আজকে কথা বলবো যে business idea to implementation, এবং এটার ভিতরে particularly on personal development এর একটা individual segment, that is the character buildings. As usual, so let us share with this, and I'm inviting all of you to share today's program and today's episode for others. And also let me share from my page to my profile as well, so that others can get to know and can join with us. Let's do that. In the meantime, also let us welcome our good friend, our buddies and our partners in business building, Ian Robertson Arthimore, the founder of Key Leadership Institute. Ian and Arthi.
Assalamu alaikum.
Very lovely.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Welcome both of you, gentlemen and gentlewomen. So how are you?
I was going to say, we just became gentle.
Yes, I'm excited.
Brilliant.
For us to start to another amazing week, and it's always a privilege and a pleasure to be chatting to you and hopefully adding value to all your listeners and the people who watch this. I'm excited for us.
Just let me. I'm having the sound.
Chatting to you and hopefully
managed. The sound is coming from the front machine. Okay, so today is the new chapter for everybody. Let's talk about it. Why you came up this, what's the idea inside your mind, and let us begin.
The idea in whose mind? Mine or his?
Both. No.
No, we were thinking about it, and I thought, a lot of us are having access to information, a lot of information overload at the moment from all over the world. Globally, with the situations, people realize that going into jobs are it's not an option as much as it used to be, applying for jobs. So
Correct.
Many people are looking at becoming entrepreneurs. They're now focusing on where they can use their skills and their talents and their gifts and also their passion to create businesses that adds value to other people. The challenge that I've found with a lot of people that we connect with is that they say that they want to be an entrepreneur, but they just don't know what the steps are. And they don't know who to go to and where they can get guidance from. There's so many places of businesses and incubation hubs, but they're afraid to actually go to these places because they don't know what the expectation is, what it'll cost, and whether they have the skills or the ability or even the confidence to do it. So I thought, let's choose a subject that is now something that is, it's important. It's an important conversation to have. What is the roadmap for an entrepreneur? If you're just sitting there with an idea, let us know, even right now in your comments box. If you've got an idea for a business, it'll be stunning to hear what some of your ideas are. And then also, as we're talking about the different stages from idea to completion, what are the different areas you need to be thinking about? So wherever you're at in terms of whether you're thinking about creating a business or doing something online, or you've already started something and you need guidance, let us know where you're at. And it'll be an exciting conversation, because I've been an entrepreneur since I was 18 years old. And I've never worked for anybody. I've never earned a salary from anybody. And I've used my skills and expertise from learning and asking questions. And that's helped me to build over the last 22 years a business that is now global and international. And now we have 3 businesses because of those skills. So it'll be lovely to listen to everybody and see where they're at and see how we can actually give some advice or add value in that way.
Absolutely. So I'm going to ask our audience tonight, what's their view? How many of you actually looking forward to start your own business? Say yes if you have the idea, or if you really, really want to actually become an entrepreneur today. So say yes and jump into and just comment below. And also let me welcome a lot of people are watching today, like Farjana Shumi, Saudi Meher, and Farheen, and Tanveer. A lot of people are watching. And everybody those are watching right now, say yes if you really want to become an entrepreneur. If you're thinking even, say yes. Because you see, because this is the best time ever we could came across or imagine even to think about the entrepreneurship or to begin the entrepreneur journey. If not, yet just think about entrepreneurial mind. How about it? Just ask your mind, does it want to be an entrepreneur? Because you see the external world, you see the chaos, you see the things are happening here and there, rough. So what it take actually to begin the entrepreneurial mindset, the journey? Say yes if you really, really want to. Perfect. Afsara Adiba. And then we will take you into the various steps and stages. Ian, so
Yes.
where to begin? We are talking about the skill sets and the 5 pillars, the self-development to entrepreneurship, personal growth, money mindset, leadership. So we're going to talk about the self-development aspect of becoming an entrepreneur, and particularly the character building skills. So what are these skills that actually we need to have when we think about becoming an entrepreneur today?
Yes, thank you. And that's a great question to start with, because I think for most people, there's many people who want to become entrepreneurs, whether they're still studying now and they want to get into the entrepreneurial world, or whether they have a job and they want to turn that into, they want to change because it's not what their heart speaks to. But and I can say from my own personal experience that going from a full-time job to becoming an entrepreneur is a totally different ball game. It's not the same. And all of a sudden because if we take a step back, what's happened to most of us through our parents, who mean all the best for us, and then the schooling system, also they want us to get educated, but they tell us what to think, not necessarily how to think. So creativity in a way gets killed off very early on. And then when we go into a job, then now our bosses get frustrated with us, big challenges as well. Because when you all of a sudden find out that you have an idea, and of course everything, as you said, it's a great time because everything starts with a thought. So if you have a thought, the biggest problem is that many people have a thought, they have an idea, they might even write it down, but they do nothing about it. Partially because they don't know how, what, where, or when. And as Les Brown always says, another friend and mentor of mine, he says, the richest place in the world is not the oil fields in the Middle East or the diamond mines in South Africa, since we're there, but it is actually the graveyard, because too many people, they don't write the books they meant to write. They don't sing the songs. They don't come out with the ideas. There is many people like the Edisons and the Einsteins and all these people who went to the graveyard with their dreams still inside of them. So we need to start with the character, and it talks about the basics are sometimes forgotten, because it's not only about your idea and your product that you might have and that you want to develop. I know a friend. There's another thought, if you don't want to take it to the grave with you. I have a friend in Scotland who many years before I believe the Japanese might have come out with this cans where when you open them, they have a heating element that heats up your coffee, so you can have hot coffee in a can. And he thought of that many years before they came out, but he never did anything about it. So somebody else developed it and became very wealthy. What happens to your idea that all of a sudden, maybe in 10, 15 years time, you see some similar product that came out and somebody makes a lot of money? Now, it's not only about the money, but it's about your personal development. And one of the big things that yes, the product and the idea or the service is important, but the character building side of it is where, we need to start communicating. If you can't communicate, if you can't build relationships, it is in the speaking business, in the coaching, in the sales business, everything, you're dead in the water. Because leadership
I'm
as well.
coming to you. I'm coming to you, Jan. I just want to ask, I'm coming to you before we are dead. So I'm we don't want to be dead. So my question to all of the audience, just asking you, everybody, those are watching right now. So we want to know from you, what are the essential skills that you think is necessary to become an entrepreneur, right? Particularly on self-development pillar, you think yourself as the biggest product to become an entrepreneur, and how you want to develop these skills, -1 to 10. We'll tell you the 10 different skills that is needed today. And it's the globally, because business is now, we're talking about the global business. We're talking about the digital entrepreneurship as well. But what you think, what are the skills you think is necessary? And then we want to hear from you. Sabrin Bishash is saying, let's have some of the views and then we can engage them and ask them. Ability to take risk, I think. Yeah, one of the skills, right? Good. So good, Sabrin. So what else you think? Everybody watching, Fazil Mahmoud from USA to Rina Kazi from Dhaka, Rashanara Mukta, Rashid Hussain, Muzibak. Everybody say 1 or 2 skills, please. So what you think is necessary today, according to you? We want to hear from you. Muzibul Haq saying, willing to take risk. Fantastic, brilliant. People are talking about the risk taking. This is the youth. They have the, risk taking mindset in the blood. Great. Perfect. What else? So what else, guys and ladies and gentlemen? Just put your ideas. If 35 of you put one skill set, you think 35 of us can be benefited. Somebody saying patience. Okay, would want to look forward the skills that you guys are thinking and talking about it. Okay, Jan. So what do you think? What are the skills you think is actually the things to good to have?
I think that's already a very good start, risk-taking, because life is about risk-taking. And to become an entrepreneur, there is a good likelihood that you start doing things you never did before, and you might fail once or twice. But if you never take any risks, the safest place is actually in a prison, where you get meal every morning, afternoon, and night, and you're away from everything else. But risk-taking is a wonderful start. And I also think discipline is something that is very necessary, because, as I said before, if you've been told by your boss what to do, or you've been in a system, even in an education system, where you've told, you need to fill in your projects, you need to do your exams, you need to learn this every day and every that and every subject, and all of a sudden you need to have the self-discipline to actually make sure, and I would even connect that to perseverance. Persistence.
Somebody saying, like KM Nazrul Islam saying, strategic thinking. Fazal Mahmood, Dr. Faz is saying becoming a giver, not taker. It's John Maxwell, certified tennis speaker and coach from USA. John Maxwell values a giver. So what do you think about, like Sabrin saying, feel free to think if breaking down many times then standing up 100 times. Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but these are some of the points pouring into.
No, please do. And I think that's exactly what Edison did with the light bulb. Somebody says it's 1,000, some 10,000, but 1,000 is already very good. He says he found out 999 ways how not to do it, but he got up the next time, and that's why we actually got light now, because he perseveres. He had a discipline to keep going, and yes, of course, he's got a strategy, because he didn't just try and then failed and I say, okay, let's go no, he says, oh, this doesn't work, so I won't try that again. Now we'll go to the next. So, but I mean, when we go through these kind of disciplines and it's also making good decisions, and people say, well, how do you make good decisions? Make bad decisions first and learn. We already take a risk, you might fail, and that's where we learn from. But quite often we don't have to make too many bad decisions, because we can learn from each other. There is enough people out there now who have taken risks that we don't have to take. Yes, we might have to take our own, and we will have to take our own. But careful planning is also something, have some kind of plan. Don't just try something and say, let's go and see if this works, and then find out you didn't do all your background, you didn't do all the kind of things it needs to be to find out if your product actually works, because there is plenty people who actually put their life savings and more money into becoming an entrepreneur because they've got a product, they think it's the best ever, and then they never did any research to find out if the people actually needed or wanted it, or was there a market for it. So there is so many skills that we have to think about. And I thought, well, okay, if we can in this development, if we can take some of the pain out of it, some of the thinking out of it, that we can give you guidelines to all the different steps, and there is many of them. But if we can guide you and support you on the way, so you don't have to walk that journey alone, because there is a frustration with so many people. So many youngsters young people also have ideas, but now what? What can I do, and how do I go about it? What do I need to do to develop myself? Because we think about the product or service, but we forget about developing ourselves in the journey. And as you and I know, we both, all three of us do it. Personal growth is an everyday thing, not a one-day thing. And we need to keep doing that, because if we're going to build an organization, if we're going to build an entrepreneurial business, we better build ourselves. And that means communicate better, listen better, do all those kind of things that are actually personal growth issues, which you need to build your business.
Correct. I'll be back to you. Mujibul Haq is saying a clear sense of direction. So I want to come back to Arti. Why don't you tell these 10 skills that you think, based on the global research and the timely and befitting need, and then we can ask individuals that are watching right now, out of these 10 skills, who thinks how many of those 10 somebody having, right? I want Arti to say about the 10 most important skill set that is needed. And then question to audience is, out of those 10 skills, which is Arti going to articulate, and then you map, audience, I'm asking you to map how many of those 10 you're good at. Over to Arti. 10 skills.
So I'll just tell you the 10 skills so that it's going to be easy for them to count it off quickly. So the first one is risk-taking, have discipline, always learning, embrace failure, have great focus, strive to be leaders, have vision and goals, good decision maker, have a strong mindset, give back to humanity.
Okay, can I ask any of the audience who can put it down right here on the comments, right? What Arti said, just do us a favor. Arti, you want to go back, maybe some of them can put it down, okay? What Arti said, the 10 skills.
I can do it for you quickly.
Okay, maybe Ian can do it. Ian can write it, and Arti can talk about these skills, and the others can give us the
Very
feedback. Who has how many, say,
Okay.
I'm asking everybody, like Mujibul Haq to, Salahuddin, to Kausar Ahmed, to Ashfaq Zubair, to Akhtar Bhuyan, to Sumaya, everybody. So whatever Arthi said, the 10 different skill set today needed is coming on the comment. Now you assess yourself where you are, how many skills you have today, right? Out of this 10, do you have 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6? And then you can assess yourself. If you're thinking, okay, I want to become an entrepreneur, now look at the skill map. Look at the 10 skills required. So where are you now? Arthi, let's talk about the skills. And welcome Budrul Hasan to everybody. Let's give us feedback over at least 7. Okay, Fazal Mahmoud said over at least 7. Wow, game on. So can we have the others feedback as well? Out of this 10, who has how many skill set you think you're really good at? Arthi.
I think one of the important things to also is that when you're looking at these 10 traits or characteristics of a successful entrepreneur, if you are starting off, there are certain areas that maybe you need to develop. So if you say maybe 3 or 4 now, understand that it's only 3 or 4 where you are currently, which gives you opportunity to then learn and develop more in the other areas. So you got to be gentle with yourself when you're choosing this, and know that it is a continuous development even for ourselves. So out of the 10, I may have 10, but maybe some is very high and some is not so good. But what it is I'm allowing myself to then develop in those areas by acknowledging, okay, I'm better at 6 and I need improvement in 4, that kind of thing. But when you look at risk taking,
just a second. I'm giving you a pause. As Ian already said all the 10 skill, I got this as a pin point, as a pin comment. Risk taking, discipline, always learning, embrace. Guys, you just go through this list of 10 skills and then assess yourself. That's the 10. Ian Roberts has put it, and I made it pin post. And you flip through those 10 skills and assess yourself quickly. How many you are good at it? If you're thinking about entrepreneurship, this is the pillar, Arthi.
So what I loved is that for everybody listening, so far, risk-taking was one of the things that came up quite a lot. And I just feel that as an entrepreneur, if you don't take risks and if you just sit there waiting, nothing will happen. I found that for successful entrepreneurs, they put themselves out there, which means it allowed them to then look at some of the other pillars of embracing failure. And embracing failure, you'll only be able to embrace failure if you take risks. And when we talk about embracing failure and taking risks and having discipline, what does it mean? It means that when you have a vision or a goal and it is so huge, you don't want to sit and wait if you don't have support, if you don't have money, if you don't know how to do it, you don't have people surrounding you, you don't have. And that becomes your mindset. And because you don't have, you allow it to be your excuse for why you don't push yourself forward, why you don't cross boundaries, why you allow other people's negativity to hold you back. So when you look at all of those different areas, decision-making, a strong mindset, it means that when you embark on self-development, you become decisive. You become clear in your focus. When you do goal setting and you create a vision for your life, nobody can touch you in that. And then no matter what people say or do, it should spur you on and give you the motivation to grow and to go further in your life, to step up and step out of your comfort zone, to demand what you want. So when we're talking about risk taking, it's not saying go and put $10,000 into something and then hope you're going to succeed and say, hey guys, look, I took a risk. That's not taking a risk. All you did was you invested in something. And for some people, that is the height of their risk. For many, it could be creating a business they never understood, collaborating and creating partnerships globally. Those are taking risks when you don't understand the environment, but you put yourself out there and then you find the support you need in order to grow and become better. And that's where your strong mindset comes into place. And when they talk talking about giving back to humanity. They talk about sewa, and they talk about zakat, and we talk about giving, and we talk about servant leadership. All of that adds value. And when you're saying that as an entrepreneur, I want to give back to humanity, one of the things that a lot of people don't talk about, that as entrepreneurs, the best ideas come from when you look at 10 to 15 years from now, what has not been created and what is going to be the biggest pain point that our world will need. And then you create and develop it now. So what are the things that's coming?
Arti, if I can ask you, Arti, out of this 10, what is your pick? Like, if I'm starting right now, right? So to become an entrepreneurial journey, and tell me that where I could begin with, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Certainly, it's not possible for me to master 10 skills, right? It takes time. So I want to ask both of you the 5 that you're going to put. Let's do 1, 2, 3. It's yours. The way you think. Maybe we can ask the audience, what is your priority picking list? As Arti and Ian going to pick. So what's your picking list? I'm going to ask everybody. You pick your list and preferences. Both of you. Start talking. Let's do it.
For me, personally, it's always to have vision and goals. Is one of my priorities. My second one would be to have a great focus, to always learn, to have discipline, and to have a strong mindset.
Jan, so what is yours?
Yeah, I'm shaking my head because most of them are the same, actually. I think discipline, if we go down the list of the way they came, I think having discipline is key. Because, the discipline also... People say that, if in the time of COVID, when we're sitting at home and you haven't started a project, you haven't finished the project that you had, or you haven't started something new, you haven't learned something new now, then every time before this, you actually said you couldn't do it, you didn't have a lack of time, you have a lack of discipline. And I think, the discipline is key. And with that, to have vision and goals, because you need to set goals with this as well. When you have the discipline to set goals and then take action to follow through on them, it's very important. And I also think having great focus. See, because if there is so much in front of us, and especially if we get sidetracked on the shiny objects, they call it, things that we might think might need, but we don't really need them. But we're going, and before you know, most of the day is gone because you've looked at different things on, and all you did was research one thing. But you need to stay focused. Then I think having a strong mindset is also something where you need, and that comes in with always learning, because when you're learning about those kind of things, you see, even though you can't learn all 10 at the same time, you can learn at least about them, because when you're learning to have a better, stronger mindset. You're learning to set goals. You're learning to have discipline, because for most people, discipline is something that you need to learn. And the good news is all these skills you can learn.
I'm coming back, so let me pick mine. So as you said, the discipline is the number 1, and then strong mindset, this is number 2. Always learning, number 3. Vision and goals, 4. And focus. And focus. So and focus, this is the 5th. So I'm going to ask everybody if you can put your priority list, and what's your picking criteria. So often, I'm now asking both of you, often people say that in today, this is the most difficult thing to focus because of the distractions, so many choices, so much of information, and so many things to do it. So can you also share, actually, in this digital world, as we all are digital nomad, and how we could create digital focus? Because focus, we are not actually able to focus. We need to now create a digital focus as well. I mean, like the maneuvering a lens and focusing digitally so that we don't get distracted. How can you do that? Since this is the common all of us are thinking.
It's an excellent question, because I've watched so many people fall into the trap in this last couple of months, especially, where with the lockdown, it has forced people to go into online learning, digital platforms that they weren't used to. The challenge, though, is that a lot of people did not create boundaries for themselves. They signed up for every single thing that came their way because it was free. Uh, anything that looked exciting, they signed up for these things, for summits, for talks, for everything that looked exciting. The challenge, though, is it wasn't focused on what part of development they needed. And I'm talking about even directors of massive companies were complaining to me about how they had burnout. And my question to them was, what is causing it? And they said, well, we are on webinars and we're on summits and conferences, and then we're on Zoom calls, and then Udemy and some of those online platforms had sales, so we bought some more courses. And I said, okay, take a step back. What part did you need for your development right now? Where did you feel you were lacking or you needed improvement personally? And when they thought about it, they were able to then remove themselves from a number of online platforms, and they were able to guilt-free decline going on to talks and being interviewed around the world by people who were feeling bored with themselves. And what they were doing is their self-confidence was so low. They felt that they needed to be seen online and doing all of this stuff. But being busy as an entrepreneur does not necessarily mean that you're being productive. It is the most dangerous game to play when, as an entrepreneur or even a budding entrepreneur, you look clever looking at your screen all day. But what have you learned? Ask yourself the question, what is the intention? What is going to be my highlight, and what will I learn if I go onto this conference, or I accept this online course, or I go and experience something else? Is it going to challenge me? Will it stretch me? And will it grow me as a human being? And if you can ask yourself those questions, you can become a great decision maker and become decisive about what you fill your mind with. And that is how you then create a strong mindset. Now, when you're able to do that, you're able to then stream your goals of, in this week, I realized that I need better conflict resolution skills, which means I now only look for the things that I want online, and it's got to do with conflict resolution, and I go and look for it. And then I will look for anything that's related to it: mindfulness, communication, listening skills. What can I do differently to empower and upgrade myself? And in this age of digital excitement, it is easy to lose yourself. And in the journey of becoming an entrepreneur, it is even more easier because you're not in a job and you're not at the beck and call of a manager. You have to manage yourself, and you've got to manage your time and the quality of what you allow yourself to listen to and what you allow yourself to be dragged into. So you've got to be very careful. And I think that the biggest takeaway for me from the last couple of months is boundaries. Create strong boundaries for yourself based on that.
Perfect. So coming back to Jan, so we got wonderful comments like Sheikh Rahman from US, a good friend and a good friend of ours. Being busy doesn't mean you're productive for an entrepreneur. Yes, and he also saying a lot of people didn't create the boundaries for them. A lot of people didn't create. Okay, yeah. So discipline is number one. Okay, so I heard Raveha from Ukraine. I think he's from Ukraine, right?
Yeah,
I heard
yes.
Ukraine. I heard hi. I heard how are you? So good to see you here. Thanks to God for such an environment conducive for our growth. So good. So a lot of people are putting their list. So those who are just joining now, we are actually talking about the entrepreneur journey, idea to implementation. Now we're talking about specifically the self-development skills that is needed to become an entrepreneur. We have given 10 lists based on the research, and we're asking you what you actually pick, number 1 to 5. And now coming back to Jan, so Art is talking about the learning trap. And everybody wants to learn, and people wants to learn so many things. It's how to learn it, and how learning to actually align with the business that we are going to create, how important it is.
Well, and that's a very good question, and you already gave part of the answer. You need to align with where you want to go, and it's as simple as that. Because yes, we and especially the younger generation, the students at the moment, they have a lot to learn already. So what else can they do? And how beneficial will it be for where I want to go? So Stephen Covey always said, begin with the end in mind. So if you already know what you, and that's, there is plenty of people you can ask. And when you join us, we will support and guide you as well. Once we know where you want to go, how can you help? But first of all, you need to ask yourself, what is your why? Where do I want to go? How do I want to get there? The how is not quite as important, because if the why is much more important. See, somebody already asked the question, how can I motivate myself? That's also included in that. Sometimes people wait to get motivated. It doesn't work like that. You don't get motivated first and get started. Sometimes you just need to get started, and then you start liking it so much that you get motivated to do more of what you've just done already. So it works the other way around. And I think sometimes we get that wrong. But when we find out what exactly we want to achieve, the end in mind, what do we want to achieve, and what steps do we need to take? Because goal setting is also in these 10. What steps do we need to take, and how can we discipline ourselves to make sure that every day matters? Today matters. Every day matters, that we make sure that we actually, whatever we do during the day, and we don't have to sit 14 hours a day. We can be much more productive in probably 4 hours a day if we knew in those 4 hours exactly what we did. And we might not do 4 hours in one stretch. We might say we'll do 1 hour to 90 minutes at a time, then take a break. Maybe for an hour, go do something else. But whatever time you dedicate, know that it is towards the goal you want to achieve, towards the goal of becoming not only a budding entrepreneur, becoming a real entrepreneur with real results, helping real people with their needs and their wants. And I think that is very important.
Arthi, so as Jan was saying, so what do I want to add with this? Like, this is the number one challenge today. Number one challenge today. Like going back to the discussion, as you know, as Sheikh was saying, that we are lost in the jungle of information, and everybody thinks this is damn important. We must have so many of information. We must have everything, lot of things. So, and I say it's a distraction, and unless we are able to translate into implementation and transformation. So how do you want to actually define? Because a lot of these young kids and also senior people are watching. So everybody, so to become an entrepreneur, how information actually we need to reshape and realign. How we can do that?
I think it's brilliant, and the simplicity of that. You will always hear the saying that knowledge is power. Correct. But applied knowledge is powerful.
Right.
So knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is powerful. So if you've been studying something, or you read up on something, or you went on to a course or read a book, what was the value that you got from it? Did you stop long enough to contemplate and reflect on what you learned and then implemented it before you rushed in to the next course or program? So in this digital jungle of information, and what Mr. Rahman was saying is that we get distracted easily, as you saw. It's very easy to distract ourselves when we're not clear of where our focus is, which means that we've got an opportunity now to heighten our awareness and look at where do we want to head in life and what direction do I want to take. And when we create those very, very clear focuses, write it down. What do I want to do? If I want to become a gamer, I should not be sitting here and going on to calls about networking, because that's not going to help me. I need to get onto platforms that is specific to the IT development, to programming, to the software implementation, hardware. I need to understand those areas of expertise, which means that I now focus my attention on what is important, more than getting a quantity and buying into a quantity of information. I should focus on quality of the information that I'm taking in, and it should be directly related to where my focus, my vision, or my goal is, or what my picture is of what I'm going to do in this world and how I'm going to impact them. I think one of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs have is that their ideas of being entrepreneurs is that they're going to have a business and make money. What I have found
is breaking up, Arthi. I think I got very few things to hear from you. I don't know whether others are able to listen what you're saying. I think we lost the internet. So I want to read some comment. Like I heard saying that often people overestimate knowledge and underestimate practice action. Very rightly, I heard you have mentioned it, and it is the like we focus on the learning. We want to learn so many things, we want to know so many things, we want to have so much information, and then lose focus and lose it to translate the information into implementation. So that's very important things that you have mentioned. We can have we want to have some of the questions, and we want to answer to those. As Shumitra was saying, that what is the effective way of taking any decision wisely? So Jan, if you want to take it, like how to decide wisely. And I'm asking all of you those watching, put us the questions about the personal development issues on the personal development for entrepreneurial development, to become an entrepreneur. Over to Ian, how to do wisely.
Yes, thank you for that question as well. And, to make a decision wisely is to make sure that you are informed. I think that's the biggest thing. And if you're going to do research, you only get answers to the questions you ask. So you need to ask the right kind of questions, and sometimes that's challenging, but also ask the right kind of people. See, if I wanted to know something about dentistry, I wouldn't go and ask the baker. I would go to a dentist. It's a silly example, I suppose, but too many people ask their friends and their neighbors and their family about things that really, with all the respect possible, that they really don't know enough about. And then even worse, we follow their advice. So the wisest thing about making decision is be informed. See, I always think that if you are informed, that doesn't guarantee that you make the right decision, but you make an informed decision, an educated guess, somebody says, but an educated decision on the material you have. Now, if then you have made a decision and you follow it through by action, because making a decision doesn't mean that you're going to do anything yet, but then you can decide what action to take. And you ask different people and you get different perceptions and different opinions, because everybody has got an opinion. But then you need to decide, maybe you like one of their opinions or one of their ideas. You need to investigate a little bit further. You cannot keep investigating and do nothing about it. Sometimes, as I said, you have to take a risk, and the risk is minimalized if you actually get informed. So I think it's as simple as that. I can make a whole story of it, but if you get informed, at some point you make a decision, and then after that decision, you need, as Arthi said already, you need to take action, because otherwise all that effort you've put into it is going nowhere.
I'm back, and then I'm back. So I think this might be new, but often we underestimate the importance of personal development when we want to achieve something tremendous, maybe entrepreneurship, maybe in career. So let's talk about Arthi. So how you want to define the importance of self-development. As everybody knows now, these are the skills now. So how can we actually, bring this inside our muscle, inside our gene, inside our brain and heart, and and why?
I can talk about it from my own personal journey. Is that I went through a year of marketing and business management and business law, and then went straight into business. I'm taking a small business to millions within a few years, and into a global company. Now, that would never have happened if I did not continue developing. So self-development and the importance of it should become second nature. So one of the most important traits of always learn, be curious, be vulnerable, demand, ask quality questions. Those are all important areas of development. And for me, self-development was exciting because it showed me what I could do differently. It forced me to look at the areas that I did not understand clearly. And it allowed me to build a confidence that I needed to be proactive and to ask people who are older than me to demand answers and guidance from people who had more experience than me. And before I made any decision, any wise decision, I asked enough people about where they succeeded and where they failed, and I listened very carefully to both sides of their story, and then made a decision that worked for me. So when you look at self-development, you need to be confident in who you are and where you're heading in life. Because when you look at the self-development side, it allows you to then trust yourself, trust your gut feel and your intuition. And if I can attest to the one thing that's helped me, the most powerful tool that I found as an entrepreneur was to follow my intuition and to trust my gut. I never would have done that if I did not believe in myself. And there were times when I didn't. And I had to undergo self-development, go on training programs, personal transformational programs, things that could help me heal from my own self-limiting beliefs and the words of other people in order to guide and support myself better. So when people talk about the importance of self-development, look at it as breathing. It is that important because it is the one thing that is going to build your strong foundation in order for you to grow. But understand the importance. It'll only help you if you actually implement it. You can become a self-help junkie. You can look at programs from now till the cows come home. Unless you implement it and you do it and you practice it, it means nothing. So advertising how many books you read doesn't make you clever. It just means that you're a good leader. What makes you intelligent is your ability to implement what you learn.
Perfect. So often, when somebody wants to start business in this world, people thinks that the money, people thinks the good plan, people thinks the good strategy or solid strategy, and then they less focus on self. And as Arthi said, that this is the fundamental and foundation. So I'm asking the audience as well, and what is the most important you think is important? Is it the planning? Is it the strategy? Or is it the funding or good idea? Or also the personal development? We are saying it's the personal development. And what about Ian? What you want to say? And as Arthi saying, it is a fundamental and foundation. And but some people says, oh, good plan. Some people say, no, good strategy. Things like this. How do you want to actually deal with this?
They're all important. Of course, they're all important. They're all part of it. But we cannot just focus on some of those kind of things. The technical skills, I call them, the strategy and the planning, and those are more the kind of technical sides of the skills when we forget the development. Because one of these 10 points we mentioned earlier on was also to strive to be a leader. And how do you strive to be a good leader? It's leadership begins with self-leadership, and self-leadership is all about personal development, self-development. And we've talked about this before as well when we talked about the 15 invaluable laws of growth. And most people in any walk of life, whether they want to become an entrepreneur or not, have not got a real plan for their personal growth. And that doesn't mean, oh, over the next 3 weeks I'm going to read a book. No, that's not a plan. That's just something. If I ask for a list or your calendar and say, show me your personal plan of growth. What are you going to do every single day? I also talk about intentional living. And I think, and we can talk about it and we can shift it and say intentional entrepreneurship. That means the same as intentional living. And I just combine the two. If you want to become a real entrepreneur, every single day you need to do something to get a step closer to your end goal. And if you don't do that, you're wasting a day. And it doesn't mean that every day you've got to do 10 hours of whatever. No, but make sure that by the end of the day, because Artie said as well, it's planning and it's taken our knowledge and taken action. Even further, at the end of the day, it makes it even more powerful if you reflect on that action you took that day. Because people say, practice makes perfect. That's wrong. Practice makes. I mean, if you do it wrong, that practice makes you perfectly wrong. But I mean,
correct practice, right?
Yeah.
Practice.
So you need to find out. Yeah.
Yes.
So and this is sometimes where mentors and coaches and guides are very important as well to find out. Because sometimes you're so stuck in what you're doing that you can't see where you go wrong. But if at least you've got some knowledge, now you're going to take action. And then at nighttime you sit there, or maybe first thing in the morning, what did I do today? What did I do well? What did I do wrong? And then you look at what you did wrong, you congratulate yourself. And sometimes you need to celebrate your successes, because entrepreneurial journey is a long one and sometimes a lonely one. But it doesn't have to be lonely, because there is so many people around. And that's why we're doing these kind of things as well, to make sure that we can guide and support and help people on that journey. Now, if you do something wrong, or say what went wrong and why did it go wrong, and do I need that part where I did wrong? So how can I improve? So tomorrow I can take it into tomorrow more better prepared, and that's experience. Experience, all of it is you learn from mistakes, failing forward and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes you win, sometimes we learn, all that wonderful titles, but experience, you only get it after the event, and experience is that we can go into tomorrow better prepared. So I think personal development is overlooked so often, and it is a huge, I would say, a huge part of, because it's who you become. You see, the journey and the money will be there as long as you keep growing. Because if you don't keep growing and you stagnate, you never stay level. So you either go up the way or you go down the way. So if it happens, you're so busy building a product or a service, and then all of a sudden your business takes off, and you don't know how to communicate with people, you don't know your sales part, you don't know your relationship building, how to connect with people, and you might have a wonderful product, but you're going absolutely nowhere, and before you know it, you're bankrupt or you failed. Most businesses fail for only a very few reasons, and I strongly believe that personal development, the lack of it, is at least one of them. And then somebody said information and how you can get proper research on information. That was another question I saw. It is, you need to know where you want to go. There is plenty people in the field that you want to go into who will be able to help you. Research the experts, research people who've gone before you, so you don't have to make all the mistakes they made. Richard Branson still fails every now and then. But I mean, it's irrelevant as much because he's a very wealthy man. People say he can afford to fail. Well, he doesn't want to fail either. But I mean, he learns from them every time. So if you want to do research on something you want to do, what is it you want to do? Find out the people who have done this before you. There is enough information on the internet now that you can find out a lot more information. But start talking to some people. Start connecting with some people who are not necessarily exactly what you do, but have done similar things. We can learn so much from each other, and all we need to do is ask.
Perfect. So we are about to close this session tonight, and those who just joined with us or watching with us right now, we're talking about the entrepreneurial journey, and it's an ideation to implementation. And it has a 5 pillar of it. And tonight we're talking about the only one pillar. And out of the one pillar, we're talking about the character building. What are the skills we need to develop inside us before we actually jump into and think about the entrepreneurship. And we're actually going to offer you a structured program, from idea to implementation, a journey to, create your idea and formulating your ideas, structuring your ideas, and also taking it through the offer, the product and services, an entire realm of the business. These are the things that we're going to talk about. So in the next couple of weeks, we're going to give you the brief, and then we're going to give you the complete structure, and we'll handhold you. Say for an example, creating a digital presence, digital product and services, and how you take it. Then maybe you create a videos. We'll help you, and then we give a feedback. Creating a community lesson, so things like this. Create your business ideas, give us, and we give you the feedback. The community gives you the feedback. So if you have the business and what are the problems you're having, to scale it, to sustain it, give us the case. We will help you together. So this is the program looks like, roughly. And as we explore in this month, we will reveal in each week different lessons, and then we're going to give you the entire program structure for your decision to take it. So let's close it tonight. Arti, closing remarks from you. As usual, you are the queen of the house, and you are the entrepreneur last 22 years. Let's close it tonight.
I think one of the things that is important to know and understand is that wherever you are in your life right now, your circumstances, your beliefs, your environment is not a reflection of what you can become as an entrepreneur and the impact you can have on this world. That where you're at right now and choosing this area of development or this journey for yourself allows you to become a person of significance, where you could use this platform to influence people, change their lives, and impact them in a way that will make this place a better world to be in. Being an entrepreneur allows you to change the socioeconomic standing. It allows you to impact poverty. It allows you to address unemployment. It allows you to address education. It allows you to address the social ills of society. It allows you to uplift and upgrade our environment to be something that is worth looking at from now to all of the generations to come. So becoming an entrepreneur is an important journey. Don't take it lightly, embrace it, honor it, but more than anything, be humble about it. And in that humility, strive for success and excellence, and know that being of service and adding value to people is the most important part of your journey.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Yan and Arti, for joining with us and taking this forward. And everybody, those who have watched with us, questioned us, commented, and also giving us the encouragement. Watch out and have your ideas, hold your ideas into a picture. And if you don't have the confidence, we'll lend you some confidence in terms of mentoring support. So, and then you got to take action. Everything you can borrow, everything you can learn, but you got to take action. We'll help you also to take action into this journey of idea to implementation of this entrepreneurship roadmap, from idea to completion. That's gonna reveal within this month. A comprehensive business structured ideation to implementation hand-holding course. Tonight, thank you for watching and looking forward. Everybody, take care and stay well. Ian and Arti.
Shukran.
Shukran.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Everybody,
Bye-bye.
thank you, and do take care of yourself and stay safe, stay well. May Almighty bless you all. Allah Hafiz.